Hello and welcome. I'm Sam Califer, your host for Vision, the show where we talk all about the College of Arts and Sciences, as well as its faculty and students. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Angelle Tanner, an associate professor in the Department of Physics and Astronomy. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on and talk about all the great work you do. But first, I was hoping you could just introduce yourself, tell me a bit about your professional experience and how you came to Mississippi State.
Not a problem. Well, I went to college in, I'm from Louisiana. I went to college all the way over in Arizona, then got my degree at UCLA, and then went over to Georgia for a bit, and then ended up at Mississippi State.
Sure.
So, the usual things that academics do, moving all over the place.
Yeah, you've been all over the place, and you have a very interesting research focus. You're an astronomer, and so that's why I wanted to have you on today. There's some really interesting and exciting celestial events happening here soon. One is an annular solar event or solar eclipse happening in just a couple weeks, October 14th.
Yep.
And then there is a total solar eclipse happening in April of next year. So can you tell me a bit about these events?
Yeah, so the annular eclipse is happening in October 14th. And in Starkville, we'll get, so an annular eclipse is the moon is a little bit further away than usual. And so even if you're on the totality line, you'll end up with a ring of light around left over from the sun. And in Starkville, it'll be a partial annular eclipse. And so we'll get coverage about 60%. And I think for that day, since it's also the same day as, or the weekend after the fall break, we will be hosting a viewing event at Howell Observatory at South Farm. And so just come on by, bring a picnic, and we'll have eclipse glasses and some solar telescopes.
Sure, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then in April it will be a total solar eclipse, but only if you go to totality.
Right.
For instance, the closest totality kind of straight from here would be Arkansas. But on campus, I think we're going to have like 95% coverage, so it'll be a repeat of the 2017 event. And so since that's going to be during the school year and during the day, we'll probably have a big event on the drill field.
Sure. Yeah, the path of totality for the total solar eclipse is much closer. It's kind of on this east side of the country, Arkansas, and it kind of goes up through, diagonally northeast, I guess. So that one's pretty close. And so that's exciting, and I'm happy to hear that there's some events and some ways for students and people on campus to experience those events. And so, yeah, that's so exciting, but something that I was wondering is, for an astronomer, what does it mean when these events happen? Like, do y'all go study them, and what can they tell us about space?
So usually for these types of events for astronomers, we often get to go on free cruises. Sometimes they have these eclipse cruises, and so we can give public talks on them. But mostly, there aren't a lot of solar astronomers out there, and we mostly go and enjoy it and do public stuff.
Sure.
So there's some astrophotography you can do, and then you can host your public events. It is the only time, if you're in totality is the only place where you can look at the eclipse without glasses. It's the only time we can see the solar corona, the ring around the sun. And so I can imagine some astronomers that are interested in that may actually take some observations, because it's the only time you can see it from the Earth.
Sure.
So there's a little bit of science to be done.
Yeah, it's the only time that you can kind of get this glimpse of it.
Yep.
And just since we have the time, could you tell me why it's important to wear those solar sunglasses? Like, what's going on?
Oh, it's very important.
Yeah.
So the thing is with the glasses is that even when you have a partial or an annular or any amount of sun, it's still too bright to be safe for the eyes. And apparently we lack enough. When you look at the sun now, don't look at the sun. It hurts instantly.
Right.
But during a solar eclipse, the pain receptors in the eye don't quite react as fast. But you're still getting that damage. So yeah, you need to not look. You have to use the glasses to help block out the light enough for it's safe to look at.
Yeah, interesting. I knew it was important to wear it, but I didn't know why it was more dangerous than looking directly into the sun.
Because you can.
You can, and Yeah, you don't realize that.
You don't realize you're burning the back
damaging.
of your eye before it's too late.
Sure. Well, that's good, and I know that the department and the university will be passing out these.
We will have lots of glasses, yes.
So that's good. Students will be able to experience that the way they're supposed to,
Yes.
which is important.
Safely.
So interesting, and while I have you here, I guess I just had to ask, there's been a lot of talk in the news cycle about UFOs and aliens, and so I just wanted to get an expert's opinion on that. What is the validity of these statements, and what is your understanding and astronomy's understanding of the existence of aliens?
Yeah, it's definitely been in the news a lot lately. I'm actually a big fan of aliens. I have been since I was a little kid. But unfortunately, it's not aliens. The distances between stars is too great. So, Alpha Proxima Centauri, it's like 2.4 light years. So even going at the speed of light, it takes 4 years to get there. So unless you can do faster than light travel, it just doesn't make sense to be able to go between the stars. And if you have the technology to do faster than light travel, you probably have the technology to spy on us without needing to do faster than light travel. So if you want to go say hi to aliens, just walk outside and wave.
Sure.
The reason it's always been a cagey topic since Roswell is that most of the events are most likely having to do with spycraft. So we had the Chinese balloon that came and visited, that made a big deal. A lot of the weather balloons, sometimes they're spycraft, sometimes they're not. They're scientific instruments. So either they're airplanes that we're not supposed to know about, some sort of technology we're not supposed to know about, but it's our technology, humans.
Right.
Just maybe a foreign country or even our country. Like the B-2 bomber. If you've ever seen the B-2 bomber, it looks like a UFO. It's a beautiful looking ship. So yeah, it's spycraft. So the government kind of has to pretend it's UFOs to kind of send us off the trail.
Right. It's a cover up, or they're not giving us any information.
Yeah, I wouldn't even call it it might have been a cover up back in a long time ago, but now, they just literally can't say.
When people see something in the sky and no one will tell them what it is, someone's going to say it's a UFO.
Yeah, you just have to narrow down what it is and what it isn't, and it just takes practice. I can recognize what most things are.
Sure. How much have you researched life on other planets?
That's what I do. I study extrasolar planets. So my research group, we're actually looking for the planets orbiting other stars.
Sure.
And then we are literally thinking about trying to discover life on these planets. There's a telescope that will launch probably in a couple decades called the Habitable Worlds Observer, where we're literally thinking about how are we going to detect life in the atmospheres, looking at the atmospheres of these planets. So it's something that we humans are trying to figure out.
Sure.
Yeah.
What are the triggers or things that make you focus in on a specific planet?
Oh, well, if it's in the habitable zone. So it's also called the Goldilocks zone. So if it's not too hot and not too cold, just like Earth is, that's a good sign. But then again, we could also have life on moons orbiting Jupiter, for instance. I think we're going to find life in our solar system in the next couple 10 years or so.
Okay.
Europa, Enceladus, these guys probably have some little critters on them.
Right.
But we're looking for stuff like ozone, of course, chlorophyll. Only plants produce chlorophyll. So we are looking for the color green to a degree, assuming plants and other planets are going to be green. That's actually a whole thing. That's a whole topic. There's a reason our plants are green, because of the type of sun we have. So it's all these fun things you get to think about at the same time.
And so when you say life in the solar system, little critters, what kind of life are we talking about?
We don't know. I just wonder, the things that we have in our own oceans that we're just finding all these amazing animals at the bottom of the ocean that look really weird. So I'm thinking more sort of aquatic little jellyfish type things, possibly.
Right.
Nothing, there's no civilizations or mermen or something living underneath the ocean on Europa. But yeah, stuff like that. Life finds a way. The tardigrades, for all we know, a tardigrade can survive the vacuum of space. It can survive at 800 degrees Fahrenheit. It can survive no water. It can survive acid. So maybe some little tardigrades, if we didn't bring them there ourselves. We have to make sure our spacecraft are clean.
Right. Yeah. Yes, I think we've known for a while that these microscopic organisms like tardigrades or other kind of bacteria do exist on other planets. So it's not unreasonable to say that there's life on other planets, but we don't know about intelligent life, I think is the distinction.
Yeah, we don't know about anything yet. We thought we found some microbes on Mars in a Martian meteorite back in the 90s, but that got disproven. So.
Sure. Well, it's the universe is a big place, and there's a lot to study. And so, like you said, I mean, science advances every year, and we get closer and closer to finding out. So.
Yeah, I think we will.
Yeah. Well, that's so exciting, and I'm glad I could have someone in the field come and talk about these, celestial events and all the news about the aliens and UFOs, and just kind of steer us in the right direction.
Yep.
So thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, it was great. And thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Vision. We'll see you next time.